All right. This is some easy scheduling here because for the second straight year, Duke is playing the champion of the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference, so long as it continues to be called that in the opening round. So, once again, I am pleased to be joined by the ultimate expert of that conference, Sam Federman from the Brackets, Bubbles, and Bid Steelers podcast and Mid Major Madness. Sam, thank you for joining me.
Tyler, thank you for having me. I feel like we're making this a routine.
Yeah, well, hey, it makes it a lot easier. You were the very first person I reached out to. I think I sent you a message before we even saw the second half of the bracket. This was the first one I was going to get on the books here, but Siena led by future Syracuse head coach Gary McNamara. So that'll be kind of an interesting introduction to the ACC.
No comment.
I mean, every Syracuse fan either just shuddered or yelled "Hell yeah" right now.
It's unbelievable the how split the fan base is on this. Like either they want him so badly or they are so against the idea that he can even possibly be a candidate that they want him that they've genuinely been rooting against Siena over the last few weeks.
And yeah, there's no neutrals.
No.
People were bringing him up even before they won the
Yeah,
Metro
no.
tournament just because of the connection, which, I mean, Syracuse last just hired a guy who was deeply connected to the university without much of a track record. So we saw how that went.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll get into that in the
Yeah,
off season.
that's
I'm
a
sure you'll bring me on to talk about
that's a
that.
later March conversation. For
And I'm
now,
sure
we gotta talk about Gavin Doty, the first team
love
all conference forward who for some reason, I knew that there was a guy named Gavin Doty on Siena. I went through their schedule. I don't think I watched this team once this year, but somehow I knew of this man's existence. Um,
because you follow me on Twitter.
yeah, that's actually probably why. But fantastic player. I'm digging into the numbers. 18 points, 7 rebounds a game. He's top 15 in the country in minutes played percentage, while still being in the top 40 in terms of not turning the ball over. What should we expect to see out of him?
Gav is just, I think he leads the country in made shots while falling to the ground. Tough kid. He doesn't look like he's 190 pounds. He looks like he's 160 pounds, but he's actually very strong for his size. He can kind of muscle in the MAC. I mean, against Duke, it's just like, I mean, he's a great mid-range player, good ball handler. As I said, doesn't turn it over. Um, Last year, kind of was their energy guy. Became like came into the rotation in the middle of the year as their energy guy. Was the hustle guy, got a lot of offensive rebounds, just always kind of threw his body around the ball. And this year, he took that step into being the second best player in the conference, if not the best player in the conference, as just a guy who's just going to get buckets whenever. That fadeaway jumper, he doesn't miss. Jerry McNamara was like, that's the most automatic shot in our conference. I think he said that in the presser last week. He's Gavin Doty is awesome. I just don't like. I don't know how he matches up with Duke.
Well, is he going to be the guy up against Boozer?
I mean, he's not going to be guarding Boozer. I would assume that Sar is probably guarding him.
Okay. Yeah, well, I'm sure Dame Sar's going to be on him
Yeah, I
just to
mean,
try to
Sar,
take
they
him
just
out.
stick Dame on the best offensive player and figure. I don't think. I mean, I don't think Duke's going to have any problems. Like, if you want to know things about Gavin Doty, I'll tell you a lot of I'll tell you like about Gavin Doty, but like I don't think that he's going to. I just don't see a path for Siena to win this game.
I mean, that's life at this point when you have one of the five highest ranked teams in the history of Ken Palm as your opponent. But I'm mostly trying to figure out where does this game go that all of a sudden we look at the score at halftime and we're like, whoa, I guess we all have to turn this on and pay attention to it.
That area is the if Brendan Coyle comes out and hits four or five threes. That is he was one if you before the season went around and polled the 13 MAC coaches who's the best shooter in the conference, you'd get a lot of Brendan Coyle answers. He was I've had this memorized because I've had to write it a million times. Last year he made 94 threes at 39% clip. He made I think 7 threes in like a 6 minute span against Mount St. Mary's last year. So he can go off like that. This year he shot like I think 29%, but he hit five in the quarterfinal against the Mount. He hit two big ones in the MAC final as well. Brendan Coyle in games that he score in MAC games that he scores nine or more points, Siena went 9-0. This isn't a MAC game. It's not a MAC game, but that's Siena's ceiling. Siena's ceiling path is with Brendan Coyle hitting outside shots because they don't have depth in the front court. They have to stay out of foul trouble. If you get Riley Mulvey and Francis Folafak in foul trouble, Arinze Onuaku might have to check in.
So,
And if you guys don't know, Arinze Onuaku is one of their assistant coaches.
well, I kind of put two and two together there.
I mean,
I
hey, here's the
I
thing.
figured
I
he
will
didn't
say though,
still have eligibility.
in an assistant coach basketball game, I actually would really love to see a 3-on-3 of John Shire, Evan Brads, and someone else on that Duke staff against Jerry McNamara, Ryan Blackwell, and Arinze Onuaku. That would
This
be fun.
the Siena guys actually probably would. Maybe
Well,
we'll
you've got two national champion point guards going at it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we just do that to determine the first 10 points of the game. If
Yeah.
Siena can win that, they get a 10-0 lead. But digging around on
And
Coyle's
I don't want to give
stats,
any disrespect to Ben Lee. I just don't know if he's the same level of player as GMAC, Ryan, and
probably
AO
not.
were.
So Coyle's number one comp on KenPom, this is really fascinating to me and like two other people listening to this. It's David Shriver's lone season at Hartford, when he also kind of took a little bit of a dip down as a 3-point shooter. So
He
that's
shot
really
41%.
fascinating. Louis Lesmond at Harvard last year is number three. So these are
And
a lot of
Weza Panzo's Iona year is on there too.
yeah,
So
a
a
whole
lot of
lot of
love.
guys who can make shots but don't always make shots. So
Yeah, there's a
I
couple
think I'm
Weza
getting it
Panzo.
now.
Oh, there's Alexis Reyes when he during his junior year at Quinnipiac. A lot of familiar names on here for BC.
It's all just small conference Northeast guys, basically.
Yeah, and bigger guys that shoot it a lot because that's kind of what it is.
It is really fascinating. I was flipping around. There's basically no transfers on the Siena team. It's more or less all either freshmen, JUCO guys who just came in, or guys who have been there for multiple
Well,
years,
yeah,
which
Justice came in last year. Marcus Jackson came in last year. Their transfers last year that are still there were Justice Schultz, their point guard, and then Marcus Jackson as well. And then this year they brought in Riley Mulvey from Iowa, Tazzy Goodrick from Division Two, but he got hurt early in the season. Antonio Chandler, another Division Two guy who is now ineligible and will not be playing. And then Brendan Coyle's been there 4 years. Justice Schultz has been there too. Gavin Doty's been there too. Folafak's a freshman. Christian Jones is a freshman. Zay Henderson's a freshman. Oh, Reed Ducharme was also there last year, and he's been hurt all year. So
you want to go into Schultz just for a moment here, since he was second team All
yeah,
MAC.
of
Just
course.
what should we expect there?
Another mid-range guy. Really talented mid-range scorer. Can get in the paint. Got to the line a lot more last year, but I think he still has that in his game when he needs it. It's just that he hasn't quite needed it as much because I think they've had a little more of a post presence this year between Mulvey and Goodrick when he was healthy and Chandler on the baseline and Folafak especially. They just didn't have like a guy you could throw it into last year, so Schultz kind of had to generate a lot of the offense getting to the lane. And he's taking a lot of mid ranges. Obviously, that's his game. He's cut down on the turnovers from last year, and that's been big for him. I also think he's not on the ball as much because Gavin Doty is on the ball a lot, and Folafak is on the ball a lot. Like there's a lot of teams in the MAC that play some zone, and especially against a Siena team that doesn't particularly shoot it well, zoning them seems like a strategy that you could go with, and then but you throw it into Folafak at the high post, and he's got different ways to beat you, especially when they had Chandler out there on the baseline. So they had that going for them. And Schultz and Doty are both like dribble drive guys. That's where they thrive. And that's kind of the thing. They were really difficult to stop in that MAC tournament, especially that semifinal against Fairfield when they combined for 51.
So one of the problems with this potential matchup, and I mean, like we said, it would be a long shot of all long shots for Siena in this one, but they just don't really have the profile of a potential Cinderella team. Their number one strength appears to be their top 52 point percentage defense, which dealing with guys in the double A MAC is going to be a hell of a lot different than Cameron Boozer and Patrick Gungba down in that part. And then
Yeah, I would say their number one strength during MAC play was that they had guards that didn't turn it over and would touch paint, and then they had a lot of and they had a lot of really good finishers between Chandler and Folafak and Mulvey. They had a stretch where they were like 65% from two in like five straight games. Offense. So that was they were the number one offense in the MAC this year. But they play slow and they don't shoot threes.
yeah.
Playing slow is fine, just not shooting threes and really also not making threes is just not a good formula for playing slow in the NCAA tournament against a much better team. And they don't foul. This is something that GMAC was talking about. He was they don't foul a lot, and they that's big because they're thin. They're really thin. They've been really thin all year. Even when they had Tasman Goodrick and Antonio Chandler, they were fairly thin. They don't foul a ton. Riley Mulvey doesn't foul a ton. Francis Folafak doesn't foul a ton. But against Duke, which is what the number one team in the country,
Yep.
number two team in the ACC at getting to the line, and number one in the ACC at preventing the other team from getting to the line. Yeah, it's going to be tough to stay out of foul trouble.
Yeah, and you hit on what the biggest one that I wanted to get into. 329th in the country in terms of 3 point attempt rate, 334th in terms of making those threes. So, not really a formula to just bomb away UMBC against Virginia style there, but just kind of looking at this for people who are just hoping to watch a competitive game here. Who's someone we haven't touched on that 10 minutes into the game could really just catch some people's eyes?
Francis Folafak. Mac All rookie team guy, has been awesome as of late. Double digits in all the MAC tournament games. Has taken leaps and bounds of steps as a passer since the beginning of the year. I think that's been big for him. And a little undersized as a big guy, but they threw him on the player of the year, Kavere Kennedy, and had him sag off, go under screens against Kavere, who's not a great shooter and in the championship game, and it was kind of a tougher night for that Merrimack offense. I think that was more of a matchup thing than it was a Francis Folafak is this awesome. He is an awesome defender, but I think that was more of a it works in that matchup than it is he is like an all shutdown guy. Because I that was kind of the thing, but Folafak there have been games where I've looked up and I'm like, oh wow, Francis Folafak has 14 and 6 already. Or oh wow, Francis Folafak's got a double double. Or oh wow, he's got 6, 6, and 3. And it's 12 minutes into the game. And Folafak's like that sometimes. But yeah, and Goodrick was like that before he got hurt. You just look up and all of a sudden he'd have 12 and 6.
6'7", 245 for full effect intrigues me just as a
Post guy.
fun
He's
body type there. But I think
a
we've
great
probably
player.
covered Siena to the max here. So before I let you go, any other just ACC tournament takes that you just want to get off here
Love Miami. Love
against
Miami's
Mizzou?
path.
Okay.
Think Purdue's really vulnerable against a physical team in that second round. Miami is the type of team that has the guards that can get up in your face. And I don't think Purdue has answers for Renew down low. So I love Miami in that matchup. I have Miami going pretty far in my initial look at the bracket. Duke's draw is awful. It reminds me of the Arizona 2022 draw, where physical TCU team awaits them in the second round. You've got Hall of Fame coach in the Sweet 16, potential Hall of Fame coach in the Elite Eight, and then potentially either a Hall of Fame coach or reigning national champion in the Final Four. Just gauntlet of a potential run for them. I think Arizona got a much better draw than Duke did in terms of making a deep run in the tournament. Not that Duke can't make one, but it'll hurt them to not have Foster for the first two weekends, even though they'll probably get Gungba back. And I would also say the game I've struggled with the most in this tournament is North Carolina VCU, which I asked you about to get some thoughts. I've asked a lot of people about this, both from the 30,000 foot lens and from people that are really close to the game, like you. Um, so I've been trying to get a lot of opinions on that one. I have no interest in watching SMU in Philly. I really don't want to see them beat Miami. I want to see Miami, Ohio, in Philly. And I'm not the biggest. I do not think Miami, Ohio is like that good, but like I don't
They
want to see SMU.
they also they kind of need to win a game just so everyone shuts up and just accepts the fact that they deserve to be there
Yeah, and that's
all
going to be a
along.
home game for them in Dayton,
Yeah.
so hopefully they can get that crowd on their back and get another magical late shot. Who else in the ACC? Virginia. I mean, I think they've got a pretty good draw. Um, I don't think Tennessee. I know Tennessee's high Ken Palm ranked team, but I think Virginia can handle them. Tennessee's biggest strength is their game on the glass. Virginia's really good on the glass, and the way we've seen Onyenso play recently gives them such another element to their offense. So I think there's that. I think Virginia could is I like Virginia to the Sweet 16. That Iowa State game is going to be really awesome if we get it. Um, Let me think.
Yeah,
I'd be
Louisville,
much more inclined.
USF, and
I'd be
Clemson,
much more
Iowa.
inclined. I'd be much more inclined to pick Florida State than SMU in a NCAA tournament game, is what I would say.
That
Oh, and I will be watching Ibuka Okori in The Crown.
Yeah, I hate it, but I will be too.
I actually have no idea when that game is, so maybe I won't.
It's like it's like the day before the Final Four or something.
No, it's
It's
not.
really
It's early
weird.
in the week, right?
Sometime in that week.
And then I've got to see what's the how many ACC teams in the NIT? Just Wake,
Wake and Cal.
Wake and Cal. Yeah. Let's see what I have there.
Cal weirdly plays UIC for some reason that ended up happening
Yeah,
geographically.
that's a tough travel for UIC. They're a tough team, but Cal probably wins that. And then Navy, I just I don't see Navy beating Wake. But
Yeah.
I don't know if either of those teams go on a deep run.
Yeah, it kind of feels like SMU last year, maybe win a game, run into a wall in round two.
It's just kind of like these
But
high major teams, they have nothing to play for in this
yeah.
tournament. Like it's not like you're going to MSG and playing against like a couple other high major teams. It's like you're probably going to end up playing games like against like a I don't know. But I made my NIT bracket and I ended up with the regional final being Stephen F. Austin against Wichita State, which is
Ooh.
awesome because Matt Breyer was a point guard at Wichita State, and that game would be in Wichita.
See, that's the fun of the NIT here.
All right.
We could call it there. Sam Federman, where can all the good people find you?
At Sam_Fetterman Twitter, Brackets, Bubbles, and Bid Stealers, wherever you get your podcasts, midmajormadness.com. I'm working on a bunch of stuff for them. I'll have some more. This is probably my only Siena Duke preview pod, but I will have a Fairfield Notre Dame women's preview pod as well. So if you're into MAC and ACC women's basketball, that's something for you. Um, yeah, Brackets, Bubbles, and Bid Stealers. Wednesday night is our big bracket breakdown, so you're going to want to tune into that. You're not going to want to miss it.
Yeah, everyone go listen to that. Go give Sam a follow if you haven't already. And thank you for joining me.
Yeah, of course.